Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where we provide world-class education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and our show today is the journey of an author. Not just any author, but an author advocate, someone who has lived all over the world, who has seen things that people should never see, excuse me, who has risked her own life, who's been stopped by police, who's been harassed, who's seen people who are really traumatized, who've been trafficked. And she is here today to share part of her story and also to help people realize that whatever it is that you're going through or that you've gone through, you have a voice and your voice can be heard. You can be heard through the art of writing. Let's welcome Dawn Bates to the show. Hi, Dawn.
How are you?
I'm well, thanks. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I was just sat here giggling all of the most of the countries and places that you show in your like your credits. I've been there. I've walked along that street. I know exactly where that is, and I was like, oh my gosh, I've climbed that. I've been there.
It's incredible. When I read some of your backstory about the places that you lived and the things that you've done and what you've actually seen. You are British, correct?
I am British, yes.
You're British, and then you married someone who was an Arab?
I did, yes.
Yes, and so you've lived in other parts of the world. You lived in Egypt, I believe.
I've lived and worked in 44 countries around the world.
Well, we couldn't mention all of them. That's amazing. Nice. So, but yeah, we're here today to talk about the journey of an author. And I want to make sure that people realize that you have something very special that's going on. I want to bring it up a couple of times. So let's talk about this special offer that you have that people can get involved with right away.
Yeah, it's my 7-week author course, something that I have poured my heart and soul into. Because when I first started out as an author, I didn't have anybody that I could reach out to. I didn't know anybody. I paid for so many different courses. I got published by a traditional publisher, fought them for 3 years to get my book back. And now that I'm in the position where I've written and helped other people to write books, I've got about 20 books to my name. Lots of them are international bestsellers. And I was like, people need this help. If only I'd had me at the beginning of my author journey, then it would have been much better. I'd have saved an absolute fortune and a lot of time, and I'd have got where I am today a lot quicker. So I put together 7 modules covering 7 different aspects of becoming an author. There are money stories in there. There are cultural stories. So taking everything that I've learned from my travels, 26 years in business, I've poured into this course. We start in 2 days, as you can see there on the counter. They get the 7 modules and they get 7 sessions, group sessions with me. I'm giving away my coaching for free on this to help people. And what would normally be over $7,000 for this course with me, we're giving it to people for only $1,117 US, which works out to be about $35 an hour.
Wow, that is a great offer. Thank you for sharing that with our audience.
You're welcome.
Dawn, one thing that I would love to have you touch on when we think about people signing up for your course, people who tuned in, whether it's on the live or the replay, they may think to themselves, but wait, she's lived in 44 countries. She's raced yachts. She's lived in huts. She's done all these things. And I'm just sitting here in my house on a sofa. So people have that inferiority complex. What would you say to them about that?
We all go to the toilet. We've all got to go do the shopping. We've all got insecurities. Even before I came on here, like we were discussing the lighting. I'm a woman just like any other woman is. Like, I've got the stretch marks, I've got the cellulite. We're all the same. We have the insecurities. I've been on my own for 8 years. Will anybody love me? Will I ever find a partner? These things always get that we're all human. Just because I've done all of these things and gone off on this mad journey, which did start out as a healing journey. It wasn't, I'd never been on a train until I was 19. I'd never flown until I was 21. And obviously I've made up for that time. And some of the countries I've been into, I'd never even heard of. They're such small archipelagos around the world. And I needed to go and heal myself after a lot of the things I'd been through. And I needed to stop pushing the pain down and start facing it. And I couldn't do that when I was with my children. I couldn't even take care of myself at one point after some of the things I'd been through. And so if I couldn't take care of myself, I couldn't take care of my children. So I've sacrificed a lot in a lot of ways. But as my youngest, Narsa, says, he goes, yeah, but mum, if you hadn't have done it now, you'd have been too old. And you better to go do it now. But they wouldn't have been to a lot of the places they've been to around the world. We wouldn't have had the experiences that we've had. And I still have my children saying to me, Mum, you're older than Google. My eldest said to me the other day, Mum, you're older than the euro. I was like, it's a good job you're quite a few hundred miles away, because if you weren't, you would be running. We are all the same. It doesn't matter. Not.
Okay, that was fantastic.
Cheeky kids and the insecurities. So don't worry about it. I am normal.
So you've got this opportunity for people to literally take their life to the next level. There's 2 days and 20 hours left. And if you can just talk a little bit about these sessions. Obviously, you're giving the coaching for free, basically. But what can someone expect to take away from signing up for this program?
Oh, wow. Again, anything, whatever they want to put into it is what they're going to get out of it. But the first one is the first module. We look at owning your voice. We look at how you're writing, not just writing your book, but writing the marketing copy, how to write articles to promote your book, how to actually harness the power of your authenticity. It's like when people read my things, they're like, oh my God, that's such a Dawn post. And it's been really interesting, because some people have actually copied my writing and passed it off as their own, and people go, that's not yours, Dawn wrote that. And that's what I'm giving people. I'm giving them the power of their voice to show up as they are. I am cheeky. I do swear. And I make no apologies for it, but it's appropriate swearing. It's not an F and a Jeff here, there, and everywhere. That's a very British thing to say, an F and a Jeff, by the way. Then we're looking at money stories and the culture of your money stories, where it came from. Was it religion? Was it your parents? Was it your culture? And then, so that's all in module 2. Module 3 is about looking, I think module 3 is environment. That might be module 5 though. So I've been going through these all day today, and I'm just like, they're all blurring into another. But we're looking at how we're expanding our brand and our brain. We're looking at the kind of author life that you want to live, because people like myself, when I first started this, I was investigating a lot of I was investigating things in a dangerous situation. So when I was in Egypt, I was being followed by the secret police, who are not that secret. I actually gave them my itinerary at one point, because I got so fed up with them following me. I said, if you lose me, this is where I'll be. But when I was in like the heart of certain places in Latin America, I was never, when my social media feed, I was in Brazil when I was actually in Colombia. I was in Colombia when I was in Panama. So no one actually knew where I was. And you might want a private life. You might want to go incognito. You might want to make absolutely millions from your book. You may not ever want to publish your book, but you want to write your story. So it really is about harnessing your own lifestyle, your brand, your message, your way. It's about kicking imposter syndrome out the door. We've got how the business that you create, because we have to remember as authors, we're actually creating a business. We have to be entrepreneurial. And so many authors make less than minimum wage. And this is why I call myself an author activist, because I'm not just advocating for certain causes. I'm actually wanting to call people out, especially the publishing industry, because there are a lot of people now in the publishing industry that are only doing it for profit. They're only doing it because they want to make money and they want the prestige of being called a publisher. I don't do that. I want to see everyone who works with me succeed and flourish. I want to give them the education that they need in business and within the publishing world. I want to see them thrive and be confident. And my job as a coach is to put myself out of work effectively, not keep people dependent on me. And we're seeing a lot of coaches and publishers in the world at the moment wanting people just to rely on them quite heavily. I used to be a teacher. I am an educator, and I want to gift everybody this knowledge. So in there, you'll have, what kind of accolades do you want to go after? How are you going to do it? How are you going to build your business? How much does your lifestyle cost? What kind of lifestyle do you want? What does your lifestyle investment look like? Because I also flip the difference between a cost, investment, and a debt. And what some people think of cost, investment, and debt, I don't see it that way. I completely flip it, because a cost is a lack of sleep. A cost is something that is actually remunerating over and over and over and over in your head. And that is the cost, and someone taking their own life is a cost of you not writing your book. Somebody continuing to live in an abusive marriage is a cost of you not writing your book. And that is some present too. And looking at how we can create a book, how lots of all the anthologies I write with people, all of the online royalties, they go to charity. And if the authors want to make money from the anthology, they buy their books at author cost, and then they sell them, and then they'll make money from that. But the online royalties, they all go to charity. So it's about looking at what you want to do with your book. Are you using it as a textbook? Are you turning your doctorate theses, which is so university speak, into something that the general public can actually make sense of and actually learn from, and making a difference that way? Are you writing something to expose government corruption? Are you writing something to expose corporate corruption? And if you are, what are we doing with that? How are we positioning you? What are we going to help you with? So we're looking at marketing. There's so much in this course. I could talk about it all day because I absolutely love it. And I just want to help as many authors as possible. I'm so I mean, the other night I went to bed and I was just like, I love this course. And I was so overwhelmed by what I've created and the amount of feedback that I'm getting from people who have done it. And I've just done individual modules because we also sell it individually. But this special offer that we're doing is because my company is 9 years old on the 4th of July. And I chose that date because I got divorced and I was like, this is my business. So I've had businesses since I was 21, but this was my first business by myself. It's the first business I have been solely responsible for. And so I started my business on Independence Day, and yeah, I want to give authors an independence from poverty. I want to give them the independence from people pleasing, and feeling that they have to toe the line or regurgitate marketing speak. That we see so many books on marketing and anyone could have written them. There's no personality in them. And it's like, that's not who you are. You are an individual with different passions, with a different voice. You are an individual that has something to say. You are unique. Make your book unique. Make it stand out. Put some money into it. Have the design done for the cover and the internal pages done properly. Get it edited properly. And this is something that I do when I'm coaching people. I help them edit their book along the way. Because of my travels around the world, I make sure that the manuscript is a global manuscript, so that when they get to come and translate them into different languages, not a lot of the book needs changing because it's not been written with a US focus or a British focus or an Australian focus or a Spanish focus. And because I know lots of different languages, I'm actually able to help with. And like I say, I've lived in so many countries. I actually have lived diversity. I've lived in Latin America. I've lived in the Arab world, Oceania. I've lived in Africa. Haven't got to Asia yet, and the southern parts of Africa. But I was in the Arctic three months ago, and now I'm back in Britain. I've traveled and lived all over Europe, and I bring a lot to the table, and there's nobody else like me within the publishing world. And that is something that is so valuable. So when people work with me, either on this 7-week live course, or whether they work with me on an individual basis, I know I bring a lot to the table, and I have been told I need to up my prices. But again, when you want to make a difference in the world, you want to make sure that you're balancing it so that people are stretched, but also people that are comfortable can pay as well. Al, one of my latest clients, we're on book 2 of his, and I call him Al, but his name is Umberto, and he goes by the name of Nardo. We've just written the first book in the War of Fear trilogy, and that has called in so much of my political psyops geekiness. It's called in lots of my Arabic knowledge. It's called in a lot of my anthropology knowledge because I'm doing a PhD with Oxford, and in anthropology, and looking at trauma and the political systems and literature. So I love geeking out, and when they get me as their author coach, I will go down all those rabbit holes for them, and I love it. It's just, books are just amazing. Books save people's lives, because we've also got to consider that these people that don't have a lot of money, that can't afford coaches, that can't afford higher education or a therapist, they can go to the library and get a book for free, or they can go to the bookshop, and they can purchase a book for $20, $30, and they can learn that way. And that's so important, because what is your book for if you're not adding value to the world, or you're not allowing someone to escape into a make-believe world? I work with everybody from a truck operator to a guy that sold one of his businesses for hundreds of millions. So I know I bring a lot to the table, and I just love helping people. You can tell, can't you? I'm so passionate.
I didn't want to stop you because the passion's just flowing and flowing. I absolutely love it. We do have a comment from someone on LinkedIn, Stephen N.
Hello.
Hi, Stephen. Thanks for watching and commenting. one thing I would love to have you talk a little bit more about, because you are so passionate about it. There are people out there who are writing books because someone said, you own a business, you need to have a book. And they don't have that passion in it because somebody told them they have to do it. How do you take that person and bring that passion out so it becomes a passion project and not just something that they have to do?
Well, they'd have to hire me first.
That's
But
a good point.
well, again, it's getting them present. Why are you in business? Why is this business important to you? Are you just doing it to earn money or not to work for someone else? Because we're finding that a lot of people, they set up in business and they are doing it not because they want to do that job or that have that career. They're doing it because they don't like having a boss. And so that would be the first thing that we would tackle. Why are you in business? Why is this the business model you've chosen? Why are you listening to that person? Not everybody in business has to have a book. And even if they do, they don't actually have to have a book about their business. They could actually have a book about a cause that they're so passionate about. And it would be about tapping into that thing that they sit around with their friends over dinner, putting the world to rights. That would be the book that I would get them to write about, because that is brand expansion. That is coming at it from a different point of view. And that's actually getting them to network in a different network. So, yeah. But don't write a book just because someone told you to. I mean, would you run off a bridge and jump off it into, burning lava just because someone told you to? Obviously not. You've got to think about it.
Well, I love the point that you made earlier that if these life-changing things happen, it could be because you didn't write your book and get your word out, that it wasn't a resource for someone, or maybe you're stuffing your feelings inside and that's
Mm.
triggering and going down the line and impacting other people.
Yeah, I mean, I think we shared on the a show last weekend or the weekend before, that when we heal loudly, we stop others from dying quietly, and when everything happens for us, and that is for us to learn from it, for us to heal from it, and for us to pass on that wisdom. We are people, we're the ones that the next generation and the generation after that will look up to. And if we're not dealing with things, if we're going, oh, it didn't really happen, I'm not going to deal with it, I just push it down, it's going to come back and bite you on the backside. And this is what people have got to start thinking about. When we write our book, it can be the biggest, the most nurturing, healing journey we can ever take, because it shows us what we've been through, how we've dealt with it, how far we've come, and how little talking about it and writing about it actually triggers us now. And when you're working with someone like me who has been through trauma healing, has been through trauma myself, and you're working with someone like me who can be that sergeant. I mean, I've coached a US Marine and he was like, my God, you're scarier than my sergeant major. So I'm like, well, you told me you wanted this style of coaching. But I've also had other people that are so fragile and delicate that they can't have that. And I'm very flexible with my coaching. I can be that nurturing mama bear, but I can also be that mama bear, one with the eyebrow.
So you read your audience and you understand what it is that your client needs.
Absolutely. I'd be quite ignorant and selfish and quite frankly quite stupid if I didn't. You have to know what your client wants. You have to do your research and on the onboarding call. How do you want me to coach you? Would it be okay for me to say this? Would you be happy for me to do this? What works for you? Who has been your greatest mentor? Um, what kind of space do you want to be in when we're in a coaching call? Because these all matter. We have to make people feel safe. We have to make them realize that some of my friends call me the Official Secrets Act, because I know so much about so many people. I can walk in a room and I'll know like lots of secrets about people, and I know I've got to keep my mouth shut. And and it's always about respecting the other person. Yes, I'm blunt. Yes, I'm very candid. but I'm also very cheeky. I'm also very passionate. I'm also very playful, and I am also very loving and very generous, and I'm very caring. And if somebody has booked on a call with me, um, it's not okay, well, your 60 minutes or your 90 minutes is up. Sorry, off you go. It's like, where are we at in this call? Where are they at emotionally? Where are they at on their journey? And I've had 90-minute calls turn into 3 hours because that person is not ready for me to finish that call. They are not in a safe space for me to finish that call. And I will give them that, because you cannot just walk away at the 90 minutes. It would be negligent of me to do so.
Dawn, that is really incredible that you're so considerate and caring that you want to be there for the person even when it's infringing on your own time and maybe things that you have that, but you say, no, I'm here for you, I am your
Mhm.
advocate.
Absolutely. We can talk about time is money. We can talk about a lot of different things. But if the people that trust us don't feel safe with us, and a lot of the time, for people to open up and to trust somebody, that takes so much out of them. I had to learn how to trust myself, to trust myself, to trust other people, because I'd been with my ex-husband for 18 years. And I'm very good at reading people, but him, I didn't know he was cheating on me for 18 years. I suspected, and I called him out on it a few times. He made it that it was all in my head, that it was me making up. I was insecure because I just had a baby. I was insecure because, he was away a lot, or, I was tired because I was running the business and taking care of the children. And when I found out he'd been cheating on me, and the times I knew or I suspected that he'd been cheating on me, I was like, "Oh my God, if I didn't even know that about my husband, how can I know that about anybody?" It really knocked me for six. Uh, and you just like, he lied to so many people, manipulated and deceived so many people, especially me. And I'm like, how did he do that? And that really messed with my head for a long time. And one of the things that a lot of people in business don't appreciate is that a lot of us, if we've been through a divorce or we've been rejected, doing sales is really hard, because every time someone says no to us, that's another layer of rejection. If our parents have rejected us when we were a child, and we, we're on our own, and we start in the dating scene and people reject us, that's another level of hurt. And there might be people that are so afraid of getting hurt that they won't even go dating. And I had to do a lot of work to understand what it meant to trust somebody with my heart, to trust somebody with my own journey. And I realized, no, I've got to be able to trust myself. And when we trust ourselves and then we put that trust in someone else, such as a coach, and that coach cuts us off at 90 minutes or 60 minutes, that can be so traumatic. That could be dangerous for that person. And far too many coaches in the world that have done a $20 course on Udemy, no offense to Udemy, they're not understanding. Just because you've been through one thing in life doesn't mean to say you can become a life coach. Just because you've read a book on leadership doesn't mean to say that you're a leader and you can do leadership coaching. And when I'm with these people, I bring all my leadership coaching that I've been doing over 26 years, and these businesses that I've been scaling with other people, and my entrepreneurial mentoring, and everything that I've done over the last 26 years, from regional regeneration, working with the asylum seekers, working in the ghettos and the slums and some of the most dangerous places on the planet. When you see people with nothing, where their homes, so just outside of Cartagena I hope I don't cry, I might do. When you see some of the things that people are living with, and you see the conditions that they live in, and you see that they have got the biggest smiles on their face, and they're the most generous people you could ever wish to meet. And then you come back into the Western world, such as Britain or the States or Canada, and you see the level of obnoxious entitlement where people are so ungrateful for what we have. It can be really challenging because you just think you've got no idea about the world. And when we're writing these books, it's about helping people get present to these situations that are going on, so that the people that really need the books um, are not feeling like they're being patronized or belittled, or that they are being respected and honored for where they're at. Because I don't care how many millions you've got in the bank. I don't care how many titles you've got, how many accolades you've got. For me, it's the distance traveled. And I've always said to my boys, it's not how big your wallet is, it's how big your heart is. And if your heart is cold and you're arrogant and you're rude and you're obnoxious, then I don't really want to be in here. I don't want to be around you. That you're not my person. I would rather be with people that have nothing, that are generous and loving and kind, than be with people who have everything and have none of the soft skills. Really, I'm just, yeah.
Thank you for being so transparent and so honest with us here and just showing
You're
your
welcome.
emotions. I think one of the other things that really defines you and sets you apart from all of the coaches out there, I think there's 6 million plus coaches on LinkedIn alone,
Mm,
is that given the life that you've had, the journey that you've had, that
mm,
you continue to have, you have a level of compassion and empathy that many people may not have. And
mm,
so you are looking at someone not as a client, not as a dollar sign, not as a euro, but you're looking at them as a human being who you
absolutely.
genuinely want to help them share their voice.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, that's why I create the author course the way I did. That's why I coach people the way I do. I mean, I give away tens of thousands in my time to help other people, because I know what it's like to have nothing. I know what it's like to not have parents that you can rely on. I know what it's like to build a business. I also know what it's like to go to the bank and have to return my bank cards. And I know what it's like to have been arrested and detained in a police cell for 57 and a half hours. Nearly said years then. I'm not even 57. But, um, and I know that they broke the law. I've studied the law. I've studied human rights law, mariners law, uh, family law, and criminal law. And so when I'm writing these books as well, especially if somebody wants to write an expose or they want to write something about their trauma journey, then I actually have the law to back me up, and I will go there. And yeah, it's it can be quite interesting because some people are afraid to write things that are actually public record, and I can guide them on that journey. Well, you can say this, but it would be better to say that. And even when we were writing Alive to Thrive with a wonderful woman, Debbie Debonair, that woman, she's incredible. Have so much love for her. She created a book called Alive to Thrive, Life After Attempting Suicide, which was 10 women's stories after trying to take their life by suicide. And we were looking at why women do it, whether it's postnatal depression, whether it's drug abuse, whether it's being sold into sex trafficking, whether it was corporate bullying, and whether it was postnatal depression and body dysmorphia. There were just so many. And just going through that book and looking at trigger warnings and disclaimers that we had to put in the book, and how we would write it so that we didn't even traumatize the reader, because that's the other thing that we've got to watch out for when we're publishing. We've got to look at, okay, what are we writing and how are we writing it? My Sacral series books, they're 9 real life 9 true stories. I'm up to book 6 now, I think. Yes, book 6. Book 5 has just been written. And I'm sharing different kinds of abuse that people have been through, different types of trauma. But I have to be careful how I'm sharing those stories, because if the reader is reading a book that's relevant to their story, or because they're intrigued by what's going on, the way in which we write what we write could trigger or traumatize the reader without them actually knowing. We can unlock memories from deep in their subconscious that they had no idea about. So when they're reading and that comes to the fore, we have to be really careful, because we've got to protect the author. We've also got to protect the reader. We've also got to protect other people within the situation. So, for example, there's a couple of stories that we've written where, and the reason why the Sacral series is written as fiction is to protect the individuals and their families from being exposed, but we've had to get their story out there. And some of the things we're sharing, they're not easy to write about. When I wrote Alpha's story, I was actually about to go down the Amazon. I was in a hotel in Belém, and I write most of the books in the Sacral series in a week. So 55,000 words I write in a week. And yeah, I write that many words in a day. And I just sit down and I write the book. And I remember I got to, I think it was like chapter 2 or 3, and what I was writing, I'd had this story in my body and in my energy zone for quite a number of years. But the moment I started writing that book, I actually vomited because the trauma was being released from my body. I was physically sick because it was like my body is now purging. And I don't think a lot of coaches also understand that process of the healing journey. When somebody has had a story within them for such a long period of time, releasing that story can actually be physically demanding, as well as emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And we actually have to hold space for that. And it's one of the reasons why I spend so much of my time down by the ocean or out on the ocean. It's one of the reasons I spend a lot of my time in by myself. I spend a lot of time walking dogs in nature. And I don't like cities because I can feel the pain of other people. It's a very heavy, suffocating energy for me. I go into London, I come out. I go into Toronto, I come out. I have to be around nature. I can't live in a city, although I'm moving to Cardiff, which is a city, but it's just such a beautiful city. It's not high rise, it's very coastal, and it's got the Jurassic Coast, which is such a beautiful coastline in Wales. It's just, oh my God.
It
And it's
sounds
chaotic.
breathtaking. It
Oh, it
absolutely
is.
does.
It is. And it's only 15 minutes. My apartment's only 15 minutes walk from a yacht club. So my 20,000 ocean miles can now be turned into my captaincy. So that's good.
I love that. And by the way, I completely agree with what you shared. I know it's not my show, this is your show, so I'm not going to go into it, but I shared something that I was traumatized that happened to me, and I put it into one of my books, and I actually was physically sick
Mm.
after keeping it locked in for so long because I had been told it was my fault. It was my fault that it happened. But anyway, we do have a comment from RK Jack on YouTube. There are many types of physical activity, including swimming, running, and walking, to name a few. Being active has been shown to have many health benefits, both physically and mentally. Thank you, RK Jack, for commenting today and for watching. Dawn, can
He's
you
right,
believe?
though. Being
Yeah,
an author, you do sit down a lot. And sorry, I didn't know if that comment was gonna have more to it about being an author, but as an author, you do sit down a lot because you're reading and researching, and then you're writing, and you have to be physical. I work out every day. I walk a minimum of 5 miles a week, 5 miles a day. I do kickboxing workouts. I run. Well, I've started running. I'm doing a 10K run for Tough to Talk, which is the men's mental health charity that we set up by writing. Well, I say we set up. Steve Whittle, incredible man. Absolutely love him to bits. He is the founder of Tough to Talk, and we got together and we wrote the book Man Up, because that is about raising awareness of why men take their own lives, what leads to that. And all the sales from the Tough to Talk book, Man Up, will actually go to supporting men and preventing people taking their life by suicide.
The
Yeah.
work you're doing is so admirable, so heartfelt, so heart-centric. Thank you, Dawn, for being here and sharing your story today. We do want to share a couple of ways for people to reach out to you. So for those of you who are watching on screen here, we've got Dawn's LinkedIn that comes up with her 7-week author course, which is starting on July 4th. And her LinkedIn is her name, Dawn Bates.
Look, there's Jackie and Angelica on my post.
There's what?
On the side, it says other similar profiles, Jackie and Angelica.
Oh,
Beautiful women,
yeah.
absolutely beautiful women. I adore them.
There.
And you're at the top, look.
All right, so that's the LinkedIn. And let's go over and also share your Instagram.
Yeah, we've just launched this because I actually came off Instagram and Facebook several years ago, and we only set this up a week ago.
That's so funny because I remember when I first met you, you're like, no, I'm not on any of these places. And I'm like, okay, she's on them now. It just happened.
Yeah. Yeah, we've only just, because I had to come off because of the hatred I was getting. Because when I went off on my journey 7 years ago, I had a lot of women, mainly mothers, hating on me because I'd left my children with their dad. And they were like, you think more of your success than your business and you do of your children. How could you do this? You've abandoned your children. And I was like, no, I left them with the man I chose to have children with. I left them with their dad. I didn't leave them outside of a supermarket. They will be fine.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you for everyone who gives their unsolicited opinions about our lives. Thank you so much.
What
is this
they knew.
tough
They
to
should go
talk?
read Moana, and they should go read Crossing the Line and Mothers Like You. Then they'll know.
Dawn, what is this link that you have here for people? We're going to pull it up, but just give us a quick overview.
Okay, so this is Tough to Talk. This is my baby at the moment. Well, it'll always be my baby, but when I was sailing across the Atlantic, I remember really reflecting on my life, and there was a minke whale that came up alongside of us, and here you can see the Man Up book, Reducing Male Suicide and Destroying the Stigma. And there are all the platforms that you can find the book on, and a bit about the charity itself. And like I said, all the royalties from this book will go to help prevent male suicide, because we're seeing 133 men take their own life every single day across England, the US, and Canada. And that's too many. And the reason why we called it Man Up was because the antonym of man up is man down. And in the military, they say, man down, don't leave a man behind. And so that's the premise of this. So we're trying to flip the phrase of man up from a negative connotation to a very positive thing. We want to celebrate men. We want to lift them up. We want to make sure that our men, who are our protectors and our providers a lot of the time, and we're seeing society emasculate men a lot. We're seeing angry women who pretend to be feminists emasculate men. We're seeing society, in terms of health and safety, emasculate men. And the reason I say that is because when I was out in Latin America, I remember we were on a chicken bus in the Andes Mountains, and there'd been a landslide. And so you got mud and rocks and trees, and the bus driver stopped the bus. He was like, hombres. And they all the men stood up, all the little boys, they went to the front of the bus, they walked to the back of the bus. The driver got chainsaws out, he got axes and like spades. And the men started chopping the trees, digging the earth away, putting it over the side of the mountain, which was a very sheer drop, I might add. And the little boys were picking up the smaller rocks and the smaller bits of wood that were being cut and taking them to the side of the road. And within 45 minutes, an hour, we were on our way again. You're not going to see that in Britain. You're not going to see that in Canada or in the US. But the Latinos, and the same kind of thing happens in the Arab world. Men are allowed to be men. Men are allowed to actually be the ones that get up there and they do these things for us. And when they'd finished, all the men and the boys walked back on the bus, and all of us women just cheered them. And the ones who'd got their partners on, their wives, on the bus, they all got a kiss. They got given sandwiches. They got given coffees and teas, and it was just such a wonderful experience. I thought, God, if that happened in Britain, we'd actually have to have it reported. Then you'd have to have someone go out and assess it. And then a few days later, you'd probably get a team out there. They'd have to have high-vis jackets, and they'd have to block off the road. And, it would probably take about a month for them to fix it. 45 minutes an hour. Men in their power being celebrated by the women who love them. You can't beat it.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. What a powerhouse you are. I am just loving this conversation and wish that it could go on forever, but we have another show coming up. So, Dawn, author advocate, thank you for being here today.
You're very welcome.
Sharing your contact information. But for people who want to reach out, what's the best way for people to contact you, and who would you like to contact you?
The best way to contact me would be via my website or via LinkedIn if you're on LinkedIn, and send a direct message. Or go to the website dawnbates.com/contact. If you wanted to contact me through Instagram, I'm getting back there. I'm learning on that platform now, so you can send me a message there. And one of the people that I want to speak with are the people that are really determined to make a difference in the world, that are not going to make excuses, that actually, as I call it, own their ovaries. If you're a lady, obviously, men don't have ovaries, so it'd be a bit hard for them to own them. But it's about owning your power. If you're really willing to own your power, and you're going to write a book, or even if you've written a book and you're not getting the success you want, and you want more so global, then come speak to me. Let's see how we can work together, and let's come up with something so that it works for both of us, and let's get you living the journey of an author that you absolutely love.
Thank you again, Dawn. We really appreciate you being here and being on the other shows. And I hope we see more of you, and anything we can do to support your work, please let us know.
We will do. Thank you so much. And those of you who want to join me in 2 weeks' time and get $6,000 worth of free coaching, get signed up on the 7-week author course. We start in 2 days, 3 days. Was it 2 days? 2 days.
2 days. And the information is in the notes. So
yes.
Thank you again, Dawn. We'll see you soon.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care. Thank you, everyone. Please do reach out to Dawn. We've shared her information in the notes, whatever platform you're watching on. And you can always go over to LinkedIn and put her name in, Dawn Bates. You'll find her, and you'll find out more about that 7-week course that's starting on July 4th. So let's do this. We're closing out now, and we're coming back with our next show, which is A Woman's Prerogative, Part 2. We had Part 1 earlier today, and we're talking about breaking barriers, women who are leading in politics. So stay tuned for that. We'll see you soon. Bye.